Hi, I am Abbas Hooshmand, currently working as interpreter and translator in Australia, and I would like to discuss the effect of artificial intelligence (AI) on interpreting and translation. A few weeks ago, I put this discussion with a group of friends of mine who are working as interpreters and translators, and they have formed a group on WhatsApp. Ask them this question: could AI, artificial intelligence, affect interpreting and translation to a great extent? Some said that yes, it will probably wipe out the profession, and some said the effect could be significant but not total. Before becoming an interpreter or translator, I worked for 40 years as electronics and software engineer and programmer. I wrote my first program when I was 22 years old, in 1971. The program was in Fortran and was written on mainframe computers. In those days, the computer powered the size of a little mobile phone would fit into 3 rooms. Keyboards were huge. We didn't have screens. We would type in the programs and produce punch cards, feed the computer, and get the result. Yes, yet I was amazed by the massive power of computers at that time. A student who was doing a master's degree in agriculture asked me to help him to process the data he had collected in his agricultural research project. And I could get the computer to massive processing of data at that time. And then it came the 1980s. 1980s, microprocessors started coming into market, 4-bit and then 8-bit. And there was a talk that microprocessors were going to create revolution, which they did. I attended a meeting of electrical engineers in Institution of Engineers in London, and they were talking about the possibility of microprocessors plus robots wiping out jobs and creating massive unemployment. We know that microprocessors came, robots came, but they did not create massive unemployment. In fact, countries like Australia, United States, European countries, they transferred their car manufacturing companies, they transferred their television and fridge manufacturing companies to China because there was cheap labor there. So human beings were needed. If it was purely microprocessors and robots, why didn't we keep manufacturing industry in Western countries? Why were they transferred to China because labor was cheap. So human beings were needed. Robots and microprocessors could not replace human beings. Then it came the year 2000, and everybody was talking of bugs in the computers were going to destroy the world, and that Jesus Christ was going to come, and other things. Nothing happened. And now there is a talk that artificial intelligence is going to create massive unemployment, and AI is going to do a lot of work. Everybody is scared of AI. What is AI? Artificial intelligence means massive processing of data. Processing huge masses of data within fractions of a second to help humans think better. They are not going to replace human beings. Back in the year 2000 or earlier, we had a movie called 2001: A Space Odyssey. I watched that movie 3 times. They were trying to tell us that in the future, computers will develop emotions, will become jealous, will create problems amongst us. I, as an electronics student at that time, could not believe that. No, computers were going to help us, but they were not going to replace us. They were not going to replace human emotion, human love. Now, what is interpreting and what is translation? Interpreting and translation both are arts rather than techniques. The better interpreter and translator you are, the more of an artist you are. Interpretation means transferring from one mind to the other. Transferring the meaning in one mind to the other. Not the words, not the sentences. Transferring what they mean. And sometimes people who are not very much literate cannot even express themselves. They say words, they are trying to say something. You, as an interpreter, you know what they want to say. And you know the other side, what they want to hear. It's an art. It's not a technique. Interpreters know this very well. Good interpreters know this very well, that many a time they have done a job that no one else could do. No machine could do. To give you an example, I was interpreting in an asylum seeker detention center, and there was a detainee who had been kept in asylum in detention for 2 years. He was very depressed, and the psychologist was trying to help him, to cheer him up, make him happy. So the psychologist said, well, these days are not going to be forever. Detention will finish, you'll be freed, you'll be happy. If I had interpreted these words, It wouldn't have made much difference because I knew the asylum seeker had heard it many times. I used one line of Persian poetry by Hafiz. Just one line of Persian poetry by Hafiz, which was saying the same thing, but it was from Hafiz. And this detainee cheered up, became happy. Now he knew it was going to happen because Hafiz had said it. The great Persian poet. He became happy, and the psychologist was happy as well, because what the psychologist wanted to make this guy happy. And the result had come true. AI couldn't have done that job. Examples are a lot, and good interpreters have a lot of examples of that. AI will never replace the art of interpretation in full. It may be helpful, but it's not going to become human. The same is translation. Translation. The writers, when they write something, they want to penetrate your soul. They want to overcome cultural differences and tell you what they mean. A book was written in 1948 by the South African writer Alan Paton. Cry, My Beloved Country. This book was translated to Persian in Iran. The translator used the same technique, artificial intelligence technique of the day, translating word by word, sentence by sentence. The book did not sell very much, but another translator did a marvelous job, transferred the meaning. Cry, my beloved country, instead he used just 2 words. 4 words to 2 words. Benal Watan. And that exploded like a bomb in Iran. The book was sold in hundreds of thousands. So translation is also an art. You know that many translators, when they read translation of another translator, they say, oh, that's not good. That's not really translating. We don't accept each other's work, let alone accepting and believing in the work done by a machine. Again, AI is very helpful, can help a lot, but it's not going to replace humans. The art of translation. Many translators do marvelous jobs that machines can never, ever do. I hope I have been helpful. I hope I have been able to transfer what I mean. Thank you for listening.